a nightmare. What a absolute living hell. That's right, it's Degreelessness again. I'm back to ruin your day with just a little dose of reality. Hope I'm not ruining any safe spaces. I am, of course, your humble host, the world's most stunning and brave culture critic, 21st century digital boy, trusted member of the media, and the people's champion, Shanghai Pete. Thank you so much for chilling with us tonight. There is simply no time. We've got to just get right into it. So, the Final Fantasy VII Remake demo's out. I played it. Yep. And it did not change my opinion that the first part of the first episode of the first game of however many parts it will eventually be is going to be a disappointment. In fact, I'm more sure now than I have ever been. This is going to be far more tragic than I could have imagined. You know why? Because the demo was awesome. However, that being said, my position has always been the same. The problem with this remake is not that it's going to be a bad game, is that it's only going to be a tiny slice of the whole game that we know is Final Fantasy VII, despite being marketed to the contrary. But before I really get into that, let's talk about what I liked, which admittedly was a lot. So remember how I said it was going to look gorgeous? It definitely does. It absolutely does. It's friggin' breathtaking, to be fair. It really looks incredible. Midgar and the Mako reactor look exactly how my childhood imagination pictured them. The artist really did a fantastic job. The music is great too, even. Oh, also, by the way, I don't know if any of you noticed, but Barrett is pronouncing Mako as Mako. Is that always how it's supposed to be pronounced? Am I the one that's weird here because I thought it was Mako? Though I guess if it's spelled the same way in Japanese, then it would be Mako. I don't know. But anyway, the menus, the UI, font selection, overall design, it's all super well done. It looks great. Hell, even the voice acting is decent, though. There were quite a bit of tropey anime stuff. Lots of and instead of actual words a lot, but, you know, whatever. I did really like Barrett, too. Yes, I know he's all stereotyped out, and I'm sure people will continue to pretend to be upset about that, but I don't care. I totally enjoyed it. It's okay for things to be fun sometimes, even if they're silly and stereotypical. There's also lots of extra Japanese-style flirtation added to the dialogue between Jesse and Cloud, which I really like, especially because of how much I'm sure it'll piss off third-wave feminists and Twitter idiots, which is always a fun bonus. There were 3 different difficulty options for the battle system, none of which allowed you to play it in a standard turn-based mode, even the one deceptively labeled Classic. I thought that was mean. It was overall pretty competent and functional, though. Nothing incredible, but certainly an improvement from the FF15 battle system. That's setting a pretty low bar, I know, but at least I wasn't fighting with my camera buried in a tree or anything, so that was nice, I guess. So, the battle system works fine, but I don't know, to me this makes it just not really feel like an RPG, way too action-oriented. I'm sure some people will like that, and for a Mass Effect type of RPG with lots of emphasis on combat and a little less so on RPG elements, it's all well and good, but isn't Final Fantasy VII kind of the quintessential JRPG? And I don't know, I don't really like how it's being hijacked into this weird third-person hybrid action game.
Sorry, I'm not interested in playing a game like this.
I mean, to be fair, that could just be my bias talking. Some people hate classic turn-based RPG battle systems. I happen to like them, and I've always viewed the system from the original FF7 as sort of like the purest expression of it. So seeing that scrapped in favor of a more sort of generalized button-mashing approach kind of sucks. But hey, you know, that's just me. So, all that being said, it was a great demo, and I had a lot of fun playing it. Don't get it twisted. But here's where things start to get problematic. The demo mission covers the very beginning of the original FF7 beat for beat, for the most part. You start off jumping off the train right from there. They really did a great job of converting those pre-rendered backgrounds of the original into a fully 3D environment that you can just bust around in. It really feels like FF7 in that regard. Very cool. You play to the Scorpion boss fight right up until that cutscene of the reactor blowing up that happens in the original. In a normal playthrough, it takes you about 20 minutes, I'd say. In the remake demo, it took me about 45 minutes the first time. Keep in mind I was taking my time exploring and stuff and not just rushing through it. However, when I played it a second time, it barely took me 20 minutes. So unless they left a whole lot of stuff out of the demo, which I did not get the feeling that they did, it seems like the playtime for that section in the original and the demo were roughly the same, about 1-to-1. Yeah, not a good sign when their whole pitch for this revolves around the idea that they're somehow gonna make just the Midgar section a full standalone game.
Sure.
Remember that taking your time and being generous, that was barely 4 hours of gameplay from an otherwise 40-hour long game in the original. This has always been my freaking question. How the hell are they gonna stretch that out to feel like an entire game on its own? I don't see how it's possible. And speaking of that, just how long are we talking about here exactly when Square Enix has said it'll feel like a full game? The answer? Well, it probably won't surprise you that they very intentionally have declined to say. All the info that we have is that it will be 2 Blu-rays. Okay, that's great and all, but we know that textures, models, art, and modern game assets take up an enormous amount of storage space. So telling us that it's going to be 2 Blu-rays doesn't really mean anything in terms of playtime. You know what I think? I think it's going to be a third-person action game with some RPG elements and take barely 10 hours to finish. Then, when people inevitably complain because they were marketed a product called Final Fantasy VII and not Final Fantasy VII Midgar Adventure, they're going to start dropping the DLC, and the add-ons, and the microtransactions, and the in-game purchases, and the extra stories, and they're going to drag this out for years. This is not going to be an RPG, it's a live service. And that, my dear friends, is why I practically wept after playing this. Because it was awesome. Like I knew that it would be, but playing this feels hollow and haunted with a prevailing impression of inevitability and a sense of dread. Because you know that no matter how great the demo seems, or how much you're enjoying it, that even when it comes out in a few weeks, the most you're going to get to see is just the 4 quick hours of Midgar from the beginning of the original. You won't get to play the whole thing. The whole grand adventure of FF7 is just out there, existing as a story, and yet it's just going to remain out of reach ever the carrot to Square Enix's stick. The rest of the story that we've all loved since childhood, forever just another microtransaction or DLC purchase away. And that is the tragedy of this tale, kids. See, things that seem too good to be true usually are. After playing the demo, you can see how insanely awesome it would be if they actually did the whole game like this and release it just as a single standalone game. We know that's not what they're doing. They're gonna drip feed the rest of it to us as slowly as possible while being sure to extract every single solitary dollar that they can from us. That is what makes this demo so heartbreaking to play. Because in the end, we know that in 2020, the most the Final Fantasy VII Remake will ever amount to is just a shallow vehicle for the financial ambitions of Square Enix, completely devoid of the depth, heart, adventure, and storytelling that made the original so good. F's in the chat, boys. F's in the chat. Well, that episode was a barrel of laughs, right guys? But hey, what do I know? Go check out the demo for yourself and let me know what you think. Maybe when it comes out, it'll be awesome. Maybe somehow Square will figure out a way to turn 4 hours of gameplay into a modern full-length RPG, even though the demo shows no sign of how they do it. Maybe I'm wrong though. I hope I'm wrong. Unfortunately, I'm usually not though. Anyways, thanks so much for chilling with us tonight. We love you today, we love you all the way. Remember to slurp on that sad Square Enix peen and defend them in the comment box down below. Show your allegiance to huge amoral corporations by hitting the dislike button, and of course spite me and the crew by not subscribing because I'm only happy when it rains.